In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 whys technique. The 5 whys technique is commonly used in industry for root cause analysis. So it's a simple technique. Essentially, what it boils down to is to ask the question why 5 times or some number, it doesn't actually have to be 5, and attempt each time to get more and more fundamental an answer, thus leading you to a more and more fundamental problem. So let me illustrate that with an example of a root cause analysis in a data center. Let's say that the server power goes out and you are then trying to do a root cause analysis to identify what happened and why. Well, the proximate cause might be that somebody tripped over a power cord. And so then that leads to another series of questions. Well, why did somebody trip over a cable? Why was it exposed? And why didn't the backup batteries keep the server powered despite the fact that the power, was taken away, right? And if those batteries weren't installed correctly, why weren't they installed correctly? Or if they failed, why did we not know that they'd failed? Is there some lack of preventive maintenance or monitoring, etc.? So as you can see, at each level, each time you ask the question, you get to a deeper root cause, a deeper problem, and that's a more valuable problem. So another good example comes from Elon Musk and his formation of SpaceX. Now, Elon Musk is actually a great proponent of first principles reasoning because he's trained in physics and that's what physicists learn. But I'm going to use SpaceX as an example of the 5 whys technique. So when Elon Musk was looking to start SpaceX, he wanted to colonize Mars. He has his own reasons for that. Elon is actually one of the thinkers who works on the most valuable problems that the human race has, and so he's a very good person to study if you're trying to identify how to pick up a valuable problem. So he was bothered by the fact that we live on one planet and it periodically gets hit by asteroids, and if we get hit by an asteroid, we lose the entire human race and the game is over for us. So that's a really big problem. So his solution was to try to diversify onto other planets. Mars is the only one that's reasonably colonizable with the technology we have. And so then he looked at, could we colonize Mars? Is it possible to do so? And, the answer was sort of no, not right now. And he then asked, okay, well, why? Why can't we colonize Mars? And the answer to that is that spaceflight is too expensive. Now, there are other costs to colonizing a planet. You might have to recruit people and you might have to develop processes and train people and things like that. But the real cost in this case is actually moving people and equipment from Earth to Mars. It's just too expensive. Fine. Then why is that the case? And the reason is that spaceflight itself is too expensive. Why? Well, because launching rockets is too expensive. Okay, well then why is launching rockets too expensive? It's because we throw the entire rocket away every time we use it. And so by analogy, if we did that with airplanes, air travel would be incredibly expensive too. Now that's a really big problem, and that's actually the fundamental business problem for SpaceX. But the real key is to go one more step and say, why do we throw the rocket away? And the answer is we don't know how to land it. Okay, and so if SpaceX then could solve that problem, if they could figure out how to land a standard cylindrical rocket after using it, then that would enable all of these other things that Musk was trying to reach. So that's a great example of just using the 5 why technique, drilling deeper and deeper and deeper to get to the really fundamental problem. Often it's as easy to solve a much more valuable problem as a less valuable problem. So if you're going to solve a problem, find a much more valuable one. And the 5 whys technique is a great way to get from a defined problem to an even more valuable underlying problem. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please like it. And if you find it valuable, please share it with your friends.